7 mentalities that will lead to poverty. Hello ladies, welcome to Single Moms Make Money. This is the place where you will gain knowledge on how to make money. For regular updates, please hit the red subscribe button and tap the bell icon. Now let's make some money, ladies. I spent most of that time traveling around meeting highly successful people, and the more time I spent with them, the more I realized that wealth is more of a mental game. In today's world, we have more access to information than ever before. But yet most people aren't successful. The problem isn't the strategy or the information. The problem is the mentality of the individual. Learning you can give two people the same business model, and one can end up being successful, while the other won't. How many people know that to lose weight, we must eat healthily and exercise, but yet, don't do it? And it's a similar thing with money. Our mentality about money determines whether we will be financially successful in the future or not. And in many cases, having a poor mentality wasn't even your fault. By the time we grow up, we already have a blueprint that we developed since our childhood of what wealth, money, and success is. This blueprint leads to our thoughts about money, which leads to our feelings about money, which then leads to our actions that produce our results. As we explained in our self-image psychology video, we all have an impulsive need to be consistent with the way we see ourselves, our blueprints, and then it shows in our bank accounts. This is why people who have a big change in money tend to return to their starting point. This is the reason why when someone wins the lottery often return to their original situation. They see themselves as poor and unsuccessful people. Even if they have money, they tend to be consistent with this blueprint. The same goes in the opposite direction, as when a self-made millionaire loses his wealth, then somehow he recovers and gets back to where he was. If his self-image, his blueprint indicates that he is a successful person, whether he has the money or not, is irrelevant. Now we start to see that wealth is not much about money as it is our mentality. It is important to have our mindset right when we try to build wealth, because your income grows to the extent you do, and you will be able to have only as much money as your mindset is comfortable with. Now there are 3 main ways in which we develop our money blueprint. The first is verbal. Have you ever heard one of these phrases? Money is the root of all evil, rich people are greedy, or this one, I can't afford it. See, the things that were constantly repeated to us, especially when we were young, tend to find their way to our subconscious. I've known people that make a very good income but end up with no money at the end of the month. They find a way to get rid of it. If you dig a little deeper, you'll find that someone like their parents, for example, would constantly say things like rich people are greedy, they just want all their money. You just need enough money to be good enough, after that you are just greedy. Now if you deeply love your parents, and you don't want to disappoint them, even if you feel like you want to be rich, your emotions don't let that happen. The second way with the money blueprint is through modeling. If not consciously changed, we tend to develop the same financial patterns as our parents or the people who we are around the most. The third way we develop our financial blueprint is through our own experiences with money, the rich, and wealth. For example, if you had a bad experience at one point in your life with a rich person, you might negatively associate rich people. Or if you tried to invest at one point and you lost money in the future, this becomes part of your blueprint. And it doesn't allow you to use your full potential when building your wealth. So let's dive deep into some of the mentalities that separate the rich from the poor. The first difference between our rich mentality and a poor mentality is the mentality of creating a life versus life happens to me. See, most people's strategies to build wealth are to win the lottery, inherit or somehow win themselves a big amount of money. This is so normal that in 2017, Americans spent over $73 billion on lottery tickets. The problem with these, other than not being realistic, is that by adopting this mentality, they are not accepting responsibility for their financial future. They just leave control to luck or other circumstances, or simply just ignore it. Again, given up responsibility for their wealth. The rich know that they are the only ones responsible for their lives and their finances. No one is at fault for their results except for themselves. Now, if you're not sure whether you or someone you know is reactive in their financial life, there are 3 main traits to spot when someone, even yourself, is not taking control over their financial life. Number 1. blame those with a poor person mentality will blame people or circumstances of why they are not financially well. Nothing negative is ever their fault, but they will take credit for something positive. This mentality denies responsibility. If we convinced ourselves that something isn't our fault, then we can't fix it. Number 2, justifying when you hear people say money is not important or it doesn't work. They are just excuses. I see many people say, "Oh, he is only rich," because to diminish someone else's accomplishment and justify why they are not successful. This is very easy to do because no one likes to be wrong. So to avoid being wrong, they find any excuse to justify why they are right. Number 3, complain. Have you ever noticed how people who complain a lot tend to have bad luck? This is because negativity attracts negativity. If you focus on negative things, you feel bad. When you feel bad, you tend to not perform well. If you don't perform well, you don't get any good results. But think if you focused on the positive, even when things are not going your way, imagine how you would perform with this type of energy. Another very important mentality that can keep you poor is playing on defense. If you play any sports game on defense, what are your chances of actually winning? Very slim to none. Most people play the financial game on defense. Most people's ultimate goal is to make enough money to pay their bills or be comfortable, not rich. The rich play on the offense. They played the game to win and will not stop until they do. I was recently listening to what Tim Ferriss podcast, and in one of the episodes, there was something that Arnold Schwarzenegger said that stuck with me. He said that when he decided to go on his first bodybuilding competition, his mentality was not to go compete, he was there to win. This brings me to the next mindset: interest versus commitment. If you go out in the street and ask anyone if they want to be rich, chances are they will tell you, of course, who wouldn't want to be rich? But if you ask them, will you be rich, you might get a different answer. Many people think that being rich sounds great. The freedom, the options, and the ability to live on your terms are amazing. But it'll take too much work. The poor have mixed emotions about being rich, even though they want to be rich. They are not fully sure if they want it. They are just interested but not committed. The rich, on the other hand, are certainly unapologetically committed to being rich. They know what they want. And as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, he will do anything in their power to achieve it. The poor won't, and they'll just play it safe. The question: do you have any mixed emotions about being rich? Number 4, something interesting that I've noticed is how someone with a poor mentality reacts to a rich person. Poor people get jealous of the rich, but someone with the rich mentality is motivated by the rich. I've personally encountered people who say that rich are the worst, they just take advantage of people, they are just jerks. But think about it. If you perceive the rich to be bad people and you want to be a good person, you will not be rich. How can you purposely be something you don't like? The problem is that criticizing or hating on another person will not affect their success or their life at all. It will only affect the person who is throwing the criticism. The question: have you ever rescinded someone? And why? Number 5, expecting to get paid based on efforts instead of results. Many people are paid by the hour, and there is nothing wrong with that, especially if you are working on a job to provide for yourself and your family. The problem is that if we are not aware, this will condition us to expect to get paid based on efforts and not results. Think about it. If you have a job, how many times have you done the job and not really put 100%, but you will still get paid for it? That completely changes when you move from employee to business owner. The rich try to deliver the maximum amount of value to the maximum amount of people by using the minimum amount of their time and resources. Is not about time and effort. You can spend 300 hours building a product. What if the market doesn't think is valuable? No one will buy it. On the other hand, you can spend 20 hours building a product, and if the market finds it useful, he will make a lot of money. What can you do right now to increase the value you deliver? Number 6, thinking you know everything. Most people try to prove that they are right, that they have it all figured out. I mean, they don't want to look not even for an of others. The rich, on the other hand, are constantly reading, studying, and developing themselves. They are not afraid to admit that they don't know something, and they're happy to ask for help. Instead of being afraid, they are excited when there's something they don't know, because when they figure it out, that means that they have a new tool they can use in the future when it comes to learning. The cup is always empty. You can never learn too much. Number 7, thinking you can do everything. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in your journey to wealth is thinking that you can do everything. We are all humans. We have things that we are good at, and we have things that we are bad at. To build something massive, something great, you will not only need your strengths but the strengths of other people. Knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are and using other people's strengths to complement your weaknesses will make you and your team much more effective than you can never be yourself. You don't have to be alone in this. You should always ask for help. So the poor mentalities that might be stopping your financial growth are: 1. Being reactive instead of being proactive. Number 2, living on the defense instead of the offense. Number 3, being just interested instead of being committed. Number 4, getting jealous instead of being motivated by the rich. Number 5, expecting to be paid based on efforts in that results. Number 6, thinking you know everything. And number 7, not asking for help. In the comments below, let me know what was one idea that resonated with you the most from this video. As always, ladies, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles.